Welcome to the Dougie Wuggy Story Hour! Coming to you today from Head Royce School in Oakland, California. Let's give it up for the Head Royce Jayhawks! Here today with a group of first, second, third, any fourth graders here? No, all right. We just finished working on our play that we're going to be doing at the end of the semester. It's called The Little Red Hen, which, if you haven't heard, is a fun story. But anyway, I always end my drama class by telling a story, and I thought I'd record a new episode this week. I haven't recorded in a while. Some of you have been saying, "Oh, Doug, you need to put some new stories up." So I hear you, and I got one for you. This is another story that comes from when I was not a kid, but when my kids were young. Some of you know I have two children, and they're now grown-ups. But my son Andre, who is now in his 30s, when he was 5, he had a best friend whose name is Kim. They're still very good friends, actually. And Kim is a professional actor in New York. And Andre is a professional dancer and dance teacher and runs the camp with me at coleartscamp.com. If you want to come to our camp sometime, if you live in the Bay Area, we'd love to see you, right? Some of you have been to my camp before. So, yeah. All right. Well, when Andre was 5, his friend Kim came over, and we had just moved into a new house, and Andre had his own bedroom, and in his bedroom was a very large closet. And at the end of the closet was a little trap door that's kind of the size of a window, and it was nailed shut. Actually, it was screwed. It had 6 screws in there. And Andre was like, "Dad, what's that little trap door there?" And I said, "Well, I don't really know. Should we check it out?" He said, "Yeah, let's check it out." So I get a screwdriver. I unscrew the little trap door. I get a flashlight. And I said, "Oh, well, that's basically like wires and insulation. And that's not really an area where you can really go. That's like just for the workers, if there's, if they need to work on the house or something, they can crawl back in there. But it's dangerous because there really isn't a floor. There's just wood beams and insulation. You know what insulation is? It's like a floor, but it's not solid. It's like cotton or fiberglass. If you step on it, you'll just like fall right through the floor down to the floor below. And I said, "Yeah, okay. So we're never going in there. And I'm going to put the door back." And Andre and Kim are like, "Ooh, it's cool in there." And then Andre's like, "It's like a pirate cave." I said, "No, it's not like a pirate cave. Don't even think about it." And I put the door back. I put the screws back in. And I didn't really screw them super tight, which now was one of my first mistakes. And I got the screwdriver, and I think I put it down on Andre's bookshelf or something. I don't know why I didn't put it away, but I was in a hurry. And I said, "Okay, I have to go to the store because Mom's cooking dinner. She needs something for dinner." And so as soon as I leave, you know what the boys did? They said, "Let's check out the pirate cave." Oh. They get the screwdriver. They unscrew the door. They get the flashlight. They peek into the pirate cave. And Andre said, and Kim's like, "Your dad said not to go in there, that it's dangerous." And Andre said, "Oh, come on. You see those pieces of wood? If we just stand on there, no problem. You just have to keep your balance." And Kim's like, "I don't think that's such a good idea." And Andre's like, "Well, I'm going." And Andre climbs, picks himself, pulls himself up into the little trap door, takes one step, takes another step, loses his balance on the wood beam, steps on the floor / insulation and falls straight through the floor down into the basement below. And all the ceiling tile and the insulation falls on him, buries him. He's completely in pitch black. And Kim's like, oh my gosh. And he goes running down and he tells my wife, Audrey just fell through the floor. She's like, what? He said, look. And they run up to the bedroom and she looks, she's like, oh my God. And there's this hole in the floor and Andre's down below and he's like, oh, help, I need help. And she runs down to the basement. He's covered in insulation and tile and she pulls him out and she checks him out and he wasn't really that badly hurt. He had scratches and stuff. And he had all this dust and stuff in his hair and she gets him in the shower and gets all this stuff off of him. And then I come home and Andre's like, oh no, Dad's gonna be so bad. And he hides in my room behind my desk. And I walk in the door and my wife was like, you are not going to believe what just happened when you were at Safeway. I'm like, what? Andre fell through the floor. I'm like, no. She's like, yes. And I run up his room and I look and there's this big hole in the floor. And I'm like, Andre, where are you? And he's hiding behind my desk. These two little feet sticking out. All I see is his two little feet sticking out. And he's like hiding from me. And I'm like, Andre, I'm not mad. I just want to make sure you're okay. And I hear him, sorry, Dad. When you're really up. He said, I should have listened to you. And he's all scratched up. He has scratches on his face and on his arms, but no bleeding really, just scratch marks. And of course he was like really, he didn't really have any bad cuts. I mean, he had some scrapes and he had a few Band-Aids on. And I said, are you sure you're okay? Nothing hurts? And he goes, I'm okay. And then Kim's like, I'm sorry, Doug. We should have listened to you. And then when Kim's dad came to pick him up, I told Kim's dad, whose name's Dave, I said, look what the boys did. And he's like, oh my gosh. He said, well, I'm going to help you fix it because he's one of those dads that's really like good at fixing stuff, And I'm not really very good at, fixing stuff. But he is really good. So the next day he came early. We went to Home Depot. We got more ceiling tile, more insulation. He fixed it, made it look really good again. And then, you know what I bought? I bought 6 nails. Long nails, like 2-inch nails. And I pounded those nails into that door really hard. So if Andre ever had the idea of unscrewing it again, there'd be no way, but I'm sure he wouldn't. He learned his lesson. And no one ever went into that little room, that little trap door again. And then when Andre turned around, I don't know, when Andre turned about 15, he moved down to the basement. There was a bedroom down there. And my daughter, Julia, when she was 5, she moved into that room. And then she said, so, is this where Andre fell through the floor? That little door? I said, yes. She said, I want to see it. I said, no, Julia. She said, please, I just want to see it. I'm not going in. I just want to see it. She's like begging me. I was like, okay, fine. And I get a hammer. I pull the nails out. I get a flashlight. She's like, I can't believe Andre went in there. I said, I know, right? And I pounded those nails back in, and no one ever went in that room again. And Andre definitely learned his lesson for sure. And that is the story of how Andre fell through the floor. But do you want to hear a little additional story?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you a bonus episode. Okay, So Andre did move down to that room downstairs, and the walls down there in his hallway were made out of wood. And they were really nice, like these cool wooden walls. And one day, Julia, when she was about 5 or 4, we called her for dinner. And then my wife's like, "Where's Julia? She's not in her room." And I said, "Oh, she's probably downstairs." And I walked downstairs, and there's Julia writing her name on the wood walls with permanent magic marker.
What's magic marker?
Permanent marker that does not come out. She was practicing writing her name. So she had like this backwards J and a backwards L. And as soon as she heard me, she takes the marker and she stuffs it down her pants to hide it from me. And I'm like, "Julia," she goes, "I didn't do it. It wasn't me." I was like, "Julia?" I mean, obviously it was her, right?
I mean, it was her name. So.
And she's so like, and I look, and there, I see the marker like sliding down her pants. She's like, I'm like, "Julia." She's like, "I didn't do it. It wasn't me." And she's like stamping her feet. "I didn't do it. I didn't do it." And every time she stomps her foot, the marker just starts sliding down her pants. And I'm just watching this marker like slide down her pants. And I said, "Okay, you didn't do it. Who did it? Who wrote on the wall?" "Andre did." I said, "Andre's not even here. He's at a soccer game." She's like, "Oh, well, he did it yesterday." I said, "Really? Andre wrote your name on the wall with backwards letters?" She's like, "Yeah." I said, "Julia." And then she goes, "I didn't do it." And the last time she stomps her foot, the marker comes rolling out of her pants and onto her shoe. And she goes, "Gee, I wonder how that got there." I was like, "Julia, it's not good to lie." She said, "I'm not lying. Andre did it." You know, little kids, sometimes they'll tell a lie, you know. I said, "Julia, just confess. You did it." And she's like, "No, I didn't do it." And I was like, "Okay, just let it go." But about a few years later, we were moving out of that house, and we had to paint that area. And she said, "You know, I really did do it." I said, "Yeah, we kind of knew that, Julia." She's like, "I'm sorry." I'm like, "That's okay." And that's the bonus episode of Andre Falls Through the Floor and Julia Writes on the Wall. All right, that's it for today. See you next time. Bye.